Welcome back to the Rest in Peace podcast, where we talk about all the creative things and some life stuff and some other things. I'm Angie, and this is my lovely co host, Bailey.
Hello.
Hi, Bailey. I think this week it's time for us to talk about books because we're both in a room with books behind
What's
us.
that?
I know, right? I don't know what books. And so let's just jump in with some book stuff because I have to say, I went to the bookstore this week and it's kind of an event now for me because I live in a town that has exactly one bookstore and it's a religious bookstore, which is not my thing.
No. I mean, like, how many
Yeah.
Bibles can you have? You
Well,
know what I
that's
mean?
kind of, I'm sure they have more than just that, but I've
Oh,
never
all
been
right.
in. Yeah. So it's kind of an event now to go to a bookstore. So I went to a bookstore in a neighboring city, and I'm not gonna lie, I went a little crazy. I bought like, what is it? One, two, three, four, five, six books.
That is
I
crazy for
I
you.
have a stack. Should I show you the stack?
Yes, please.
This is the stack. I
Ooh.
like big books, and I cannot lie. I'm just
So do
saying.
I.
So, and so it inspired me to come today and be like, let's talk about some books.
All right, cool. So what usually brings you to a bookstore and what draws you to a certain book? Um,
Well, I did go specifically because I want to get this book, which how gorgeous is that cover?
I
So
have
it's
that book
called, do you
over
really?
there. I do. I have it
Oh, have you read that book, Bailey?
No.
On the shelf of all the books?
On the shelf over there. And if you haven't guessed yet, you have to guess. You can see all the
Yeah,
books now. This shelf up here, I have read.
the top one.
All these shelves down here, I have not read. So how many are there? I don't know. But go ahead, Angie.
All right, so I went to buy this book because look at it's gorgeous, right?
Yes.
So I was like, I've heard a few people say that's a really good book and it's like, it's got those cozy, like fantasy vibes. So I was like, I want to go for that book. And then it just kind of went from there,
Yeah.
as book shopping does when you're a reader. And yeah, I kind of just went all over and was just looking at everything I got. Like, so that book, I got like, it's like a historic, well, I don't even really know what this is called. This one's called The Murder of Mr. Wickham. So it's like based on Jane Austen's characters, but like they're children from all of her different books. So, and it's like a murder mystery.
But it's murder. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So it's like, I don't know, I saw it and it was like, it talked about Jane Austen and murder mystery. And I was like, well, I have to have this because I love mystery books. That's like one of my favorite genres. I don't write that genre, but I love that genre to read. And I was just like, how can I not buy that? And then it just kind of went from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I need this and this and this. And I had grabby hands as I do. And
That's
then,
so
yeah.
easy to do in a bookstore, though. Like, it's just, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's something, well, I can
Something about
attest
buying
that.
books.
Yeah, something about buying books. It's just like, it could be drugs. Like, it could
Yeah.
be drugs, but it's not.
It's not.
Um,
It's the lesser of evils, I guess.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was in a bookstore this week too, and
Oh,
I was at Barnes and Noble. Yeah, and they've redesigned it quite a bit in the city. Like I live near a big city, and
yeah.
they've redesigned the whole thing, and it's like everything's flat against the wall kind of thing and like facing out. It's very interesting. Like so I was in there and it was pouring quite bad, and so I found a really happy cheery yellow umbrella, and
Nice.
I
At
was
the
like
bookstore?
at the bookstore, and I didn't
Oh,
have an umbrella, and I brought it up to the counter, and I was so ready to pay for it. And the cashier, which is like, we're friends now, because he was like, you know how much that umbrella is? And I was like, no, how much is it?
oh,
You want to guess?
I feel like you're gonna say like at least $100.
No. Oh gosh, no, I
Okay.
wouldn't have bought it, but it was $40.
Wow. And you still bought it. That's hilarious. You're like, whatevs, I need an umbrella.
I was like, it's pouring out. Like I have to get back
That's so
to my
funny.
car. I'm gonna
You
get
know,
this
it's a
yellow
lot.
umbrella.
You know, it's a lot when the salesperson is like, dude, do you really want to buy this? Like, we didn't think we'd sell any of these.
Yeah, I know. Like they're my bestie now. Like they were looking
That's
out for
funny.
me. Like, oh my gosh. But usually that $40 goes to books, like you can see behind me. So I often just have to buy armloads and armfuls of books. So I was gonna spend it anyway. It was just gonna be on my umbrella.
Yeah.
So
We don't have, well, I can't speak for everywhere, but I don't have, like, we don't have Barnes and Nobles where we are. Like, I think it might be American only. I don't think Canada has any. But I can't confirm that. I can't confirm or deny whether or not they're in like some of the bigger cities in Canada, but we definitely don't have it here. So the bookstore I went to is called Indigo, which is a Canadian, well, it was a Canadian company. I don't know. I feel like nothing's Canadian anymore. Don't get me started on that, but they have three different, it's like a parent company of three different types of bookstores. They've got Indigo, Chapters, and Cole's bookstore. So I went to an Indigo and it was sad because like I used to work at a Chapters and I used to work at a Kohl's. So I used to work for this company. And
that's
when
where she met her
I
husband.
did at a Chapters, yeah, he was my trainer and I went there for more than just work, obviously. Got what I needed, then left. Uh, so yeah, books have a special place in our heart for us because that is how we met. And
Absolutely.
yeah. So, but like when we worked there, it was books, like lots and lots of books, and a little bit of like non-book stuff, like ornaments and stuff like that, cups and whatever. Now it's like half and half, and it's really hard to find the selection of books that you would like find like online. And I get it because like people are into digital media and stuff like that, but I don't know. I I need a book in my hand to read it.
Yes.
And so I went there looking for a couple of books and they didn't have them. So I'm just really happy they did have the spell shop. But and then they have what's called their bargain section, which is like books that are like discounted. And that's where I got like half of my books. But they're usually like one of the books was like a Jane Eyre book. Okay, but like look how beautiful that is.
It is beautiful.
I mean, I've read it before, but I was just like, well, it's on sale, so like I have to have it,
It
you
doesn't count
know?
if it's
It
on
doesn't
sale.
count.
It doesn't count.
So yeah, I did that. But I have to show you one extra because I feel like you're gonna like that. Gothic Horror Stories, okay, which is a beautiful cover, but look at this. See what I'm
Oh
saying?
my gosh. It's
And I
so
feel like
pretty.
and the inside. Right? So like if I never read anything in this book, I don't care because like this is gorgeous. But I feel like they just have to make books more appealing now so that people are like grabby hands for it because otherwise they'll just be like, well, I'll just buy it online. Like why would I buy them?
You know, that's a really good point. And because a lot of these sprayed edges and these
Mm-hmm.
deckled edges and all that and all of the illustrations of the cover design is
Yeah,
so much more important than it
it
was,
is.
years ago, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like you have to pick up a book, you have to be grabbed by the cover,
Yeah.
and then you have to read the inside or the back or whatever
Mm-hmm.
and really make sure that that's the book you want. But like, honestly, it's hard to do that when you're online, which is why I like
Yeah.
to shop in person.
Yeah.
And but you're really right. Like I never thought about that, how the book market has changed to like be more appealing
Yeah.
almost.
And that's the thing, like I was saying about, the giftware and stuff like that. Like now they're having to rely more on giftware and whatever, as opposed to like the books are almost like they feel almost secondary to everything else, which is really
Right.
sad for a writer and a
Right.
reader. Wow, I totally got into this random my thoughts on the book industry. Um, Whatever. But yeah, so that's what I was going for because I was just like dying to like get my hands on something and like really just feel them because I do order books online and it's not the same. And
Right.
um it was just nice to go in there and just kind of like look around and be like, oh, grabby heads. What's this one? This one. But like, holy crap, I feel like books are way more expensive now. It's ridiculous. And I mean, again, I'm in Canada, so prices are always more expensive. Like this book here, okay? It's gorgeous. It's got purple edging, you want to take a guess on what it is in Canada for the
Oh,
price?
yes. 32.
Oh, you're close, but no, it's higher than that.
What is it?
It's $39.99 for that.
Oh, I wonder. Oh, I should have grabbed my
So the
copy.
the American price, okay, so this is the thing about Canada. We cater to American stuff all the time. Well, mostly because it comes from America. So the price in America is listed as $29.99. So $10 more. Well, it's actually more than $10 more because with the exchange. But if you did it like at an exact rate, which it's not,
Right, right.
yeah. So
Wow.
$40. So I mean, books are very like pricey. This one, $22.95
Oh my gosh.
for a soft cover. So, which is why the bargain books are like
Really
so
appealing.
lovely
Yeah.
because they're usually like $20 or less, and they're usually hardcovers. And again, they're not like they're never going to be like, well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes they're like titles that are popular, but like they have an overstock of them. So like I saw Diana Gabaldon, her newest book in hardcover for $10, which would be cheaper than the soft cover. So I didn't buy it, but I
There is.
should have.
It's right up there.
Yeah. Yes. Something about the bees or something. Go tell the
Yeah.
bees or something. To be honest, I do love Diana Gabaldon books. I
Same.
just I had to wait so long for the next one that I lost interest and I'm now I'm
No,
like 2, 3 books behind. But
that's another point about the book industry too, is that so many of them come out so fast. And
hmm
it's so easy to just like almost binge them like you would
yeah,
like a TV show or something like that.
yeah.
But honestly, I like a slow, well, we talked about this before. I like a slow read, and so
hmm
I don't mind if I have to wait for a little bit for their sequel. But
Yeah.
um
I'm mostly not like that because I have such a bad memory for books that like if it's been enough time, I will remember I liked it or didn't like it, but I will not remember specifics. And then like with like for her books specifically like when they're 800 1,000 pages, like I'm not entirely motivated to go back and reread that one before I read the next one. And so that's why it's been difficult for me because I could not tell you where I left off, what was going on. And that's like, it's an epic series. Like you can't,
yes.
like I did try one time to just like pop back in on the next one. And I was like, what, what is going on here?
Well,
Who
I
is
think
this? Where are they? Like I couldn't do it.
I think there is a specific distinction to be made here, though. I do not care about specifics. So when I read, something like her books,
Yeah.
um, I am there along for the ride and the journey, and I don't really care about the details and the minor characters. I just care about those, like the 2 or the maybe 5 characters that you get in one
Mhm.
series. Um, so I don't mind jumping in and just being like, well, I don't remember where we are or what we're doing, but here we are. So I think that speaks to your ability to like really understand history and like look at
Yeah.
specifics and stuff like that. For me, that's just not a big deal. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right because like one of the books also that I bought was Kings
yeah,
and Queens
okay,
of Britain.
okay, like
So
nice segue.
yeah, I mean, like I want to remember where I've left off and jump back in. And so series are very difficult for me to read them as they go, which is hilarious because that's exactly what I listen. This is what I'm saying. This is not what I'm doing because I wrote a book and then I'm making my my readers wait 6 years for the second book. If I was a reader, I'd be pissed.
And for me, I'm like, oh, cool, another book's
Yeah.
out.
So thank
Wonderful.
God there are people like you because otherwise writers like me would be screwed. Because readers like me were like, 6 years, I'm done with you.
And then there's me that just like, huh, they put out a new book. I'm ready.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so like, I don't even remember where that whole topic started from, but whatever. That's my book's experience and how expensive everything has gotten and how that like the bookstores have changed a lot. At least the big retail ones. I mean, I can't speak for the small ones because again, it's getting more difficult, in my opinion, to find bookstores, which is so sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what I do when I have, I'm not spending money on umbrellas. I go to the bookstore and I go to my indie bookstore
Yeah.
and I try to buy as many as possible from them at one time, so I feel like they can get
Mhm.
like kind of an influx. Not that I'm like a rich charitable person, but it's just
No,
like
but you do like to buy books.
I do like to buy books, as you can see behind me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a pastime for me. Like I guess
Mhm.
I do think that these hobbies, reading and buying books, are two separate things.
Yeah.
And
It's collecting. You're a
I
collector.
am a collector, yes,
Mhm.
which is creepy, but it's
I'm a
fine.
book collector. Give me all
I'm
the
a book
books.
collector, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's okay to like have a TBR like as long as your arm, and
Yeah, Bailey.
okay,
How
maybe
many
as
arms do you
long
have? It's
as
like I'm an
long
octopus. So I've got a lot.
as long as your whole body, but like
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I Do you have a favorite book, Angie?
I do have some favorite books. And I would say if someone, okay, so if someone asks me what my favorite book is, which is a very odd thing that people would ask me, nobody ever does.
Right, right.
But it's Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger.
I did know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone's read. Have you read that book?
I have,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I love his attitude. I'm like, I'm here for teenage angst, okay? Like everyone's phony and everyone sucks, and I'm just like, Holden, yes, yes, I'm up for that. I tend to really like books that are really off the wall. Like those, my favorite books are the ones that like are a little bit twisted, a little bit like out there. So, I would say my other favorite book is White Oleander. I don't know if you've ever read that book.
No.
They made it into a movie. Movie's not as good, but what who was in that? I think Renee Zellweger was in that book in that movie.
Okay.
Anyways, doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's basically about a girl whose mom kills her boyfriend, and then she gets shifted from like adoption well, it's not really like an agency, but she gets like put into a home for kids basically, or not kids, but like teenagers, whatever. And then she gets not adopted, but like what are they fostered? She's like from home to home, and each home is like progressively worse. Like because like I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with the system, but there are a percentage of people who foster kids just for money. And so she is in some not great circumstances.
And this is a
Um,
good book?
I love this book because it's got all the thing is I love psychology. That's my major, and anything that's a little bit twisted and off the wall I really love. And so yeah, it's like her struggle through that. So I don't read books very often twice, and those are two books that I've read multiple times, and I actually remember most of them. So that's pretty impressive
That's
for me.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say those are probably my two like favorite books that like, because from time to time I'll like go through my books and like give a bunch away or whatever. And those ones have been ones that I've like kept over the years through my many moves.
Oh,
Yeah. So those ones have,
yeah. I don't
what
think
about
I
you?
have a book like that. I feel like one book from my childhood was Stargirl from Jerry Spinelli, and um, it's the opposite of phonies and
Yeah. Yes,
how
I'm twisted and
people.
you're happy. I get it. I know my role.
I, no, like it's like it's very like nonconformist, and I
Yeah.
think that's something we share.
Hmm.
I think it's definitely like it's something that we both hold dear to our hearts. I think is
Hmm.
to be an individualist and to be someone that like really doesn't go along with the crowd kind of thing, and
Yeah.
that's always held up for me.
Yeah.
I have read that book a couple of times, so
Hmm.
it's something that I keep with me, but I think books is really transient. Like when I read a book, I don't really like want to keep it or want to read it again, which I don't ever do, so I don't know why I do that. But if I don't want
But
to
you like
look
to
at it
think that you
anymore,
will.
yeah, exactly. I guess I just don't want to breathe with it anymore. Like
Yeah.
I'll put it out and or I'll sell it or I'll give it
Yeah.
away. And I think I think that's better than holding on to a lot of books.
Bailey.
So you gotta think this is just a fraction of like what
What
I've
you
read.
had. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like what I had. Like I
Yeah.
gave away a lot of this stuff. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
you can't see, but I do have two extra shelves over here, and I have given books away because I just ran out of shelf space, and I'm kind of like trying to keep my books in. But unlike Bailey, these are all red. My to be read pile like is maybe I don't, I mean I do have some down here on a shelf that like I haven't read, but they're like books that were like donated, like not donated to me, but like given to me, like, oh, you should read this or whatever. And I just kind of collected them. They're not ones that I like, other than the stack that I just bought, and none of those ones are ones I've bought, but I have read all of my books. Bailey's a collector. I'm a well, you read too, but like you're more slow. You read whatever, and I just devour books
yes. You
quickly.
know, did you see that, everyone? Did you see how she called me out? That's what she does. No, I'm kidding. But
Hey,
like, yeah,
you're a
no.
collector and you read. You still read.
Yeah, I do read. And I think there's something to be said for like being two different kinds of people. Like I think
Yeah,
there's room for all that in the world. You know what I mean? Is to
100%.
like to read books really fast and to read books really slow and to like
Yep.
just enjoy that physical media again. I feel like
Yep.
there's just something you can't beat about getting a
Yep.
book and sitting down with it and just reading until you tire out or
Yep.
until you have to go do the next thing. Like it's just
Yep.
it's an escape and it really should be kept for that, I think.
And I think you're right. Like there's like we're probably like we're on either end of the spectrum for reading, right? Like um I also take books out of the library because I can't buy enough books quick enough to be able to keep up with them. But I'm also reading like all the time. Like I read on my lunch hour. I read when I'm in the car going somewhere. I got 10 minutes before like but I didn't read when I was younger. Like I started reading as I was older. Like when I was a kid that I didn't read a ton. I mean, I obviously had to read for school and stuff like that, but I didn't really start reading as like a hobby or something I enjoyed doing until I was in my 20s. So I feel like I may
Yeah.
be missing up for lost time or something. I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, like I've always read. Like I've always read as a kid. I always wanted to read. My parents read to us, and then when I could read, I read everything I could get my hands on, and I feel like that's just like a part of who I am. Like it just I really try to keep up on what's the most, popular books and all of that
Mhm.
stuff. It's a whole world like kind of thing. So it's like
Yeah.
it's so fun to like watch it mature and like watch adults like yourself like get into reading and like stuff like
Yeah.
that and then not just be like a kid childish thing. So it's really important to read.
Yeah.
There you go, you heard it.
You heard, you heard it here first. Really important to read. But you know what? Like, again, like everyone does it really differently. Like, there are some
Yes.
people who, like, 1 year, okay, so I don't keep track of how many books I read in a year anymore because I used to do that. And then it became more about hitting a number than it was actually enjoying anything. And I did get to like 50 books a year, which is impressive considering there's only 52 weeks in the year. So, I mean, I was nonstop reading. Some of the books I did not enjoy, but it was like, I have to finish it because I need the numbers. And so that's why I stopped doing that. Um, but it was nice to like track the books that I read because again, sometimes I read books that are from the library, so I don't have them anymore. Like I can't remember. I'll be like, oh yeah, I think I read that. But I feel like as long as you enjoy it and you want to do it, I feel like everyone should read to some extent so it doesn't become a bit of a lost art like
Yes.
writing has become. And I don't
Yeah.
mean writing as in writing a story, I mean like just handwriting.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but I don't think we need to judge on how many or what type or, what genre, like that. I don't care. You do whatever you got to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, you got me in a rant right now. I
Go for
like
it. You rant. I want to hear it. I'm ready. I'm gonna get my water. Hold on. Go.
so the problem with counting books, right, is that it does not take into account the fact that there are books out there that you are not going to finish,
Yeah.
right? Like you are just simply not interested in those books. They are, and I think there's such a world where we shame people for not finishing books. And I feel like I'm one of those people. Like I mean like I was shamed, not that I shame other people.
I'm a shamer.
I shame. Like, you know what I mean, for not reading that book.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like I really feel like it's so important to read what you want to read and what's
Mhm.
interesting to you, and not just read something because it's popular or because it's out there or because somebody told you to or something like that. It's just like it's so important to like pick up books that you want to read, that
Yeah.
you find interesting. So the fact that there are sites that you can track and you can, interact with people and say,
Mhm.
hey, I read that book too, and like, oh, I'm reading this. Did you think you'd like it? Is great. That's fine. But for me, it's such a word of mouth thing that I
Mhm.
really hate those sites
Mhm.
because there's so much pressure to count and to
Yeah.
keep things like as a number, whereas it
Yeah.
really just needs to be like an experience. Like,
Yeah. And I think it's because I hate blaming social media, but I'm going to blame social media because there's a whole hashtag about this is the new popular book. Everybody needs to read this. Everybody needs to buy this. And it's easy to go down the rabbit hole of that. And then you're buying books that you would never want to read. And that's fine. Like expanding your
horizons,
exactly reading something that
whatever.
you wouldn't normally read. But like
Right.
being shamed for not enjoying it, I'm not on board for that because there are just
Right.
some topics and some genres that I'm not interested in. I don't care if it's whatever politically
Yeah.
correct to read this and blah. I don't give a shit. If I'm not interested in it, I don't care who it's by or what it's about. I need to be able to connect with the story on the story level. And if I'm not, then I don't want to be shamed because, well, you should be reading this because XYZ. Because there are a lot of
Absolutely.
people like, well, you're not reading enough of this or you're not doing enough of this. Or it's like, I'm just trying to connect with the story. So now look at you got me on a rant.
Right. No, it is not it's not a diet. It is literally an experience, and it's a journey, and it should, it's not something that you should like, you know, it's not like you should be eating like a balanced thing.
Yeah.
It's like you should be just reading what you want to read. And I give everyone permission to like what they want to like and read what they want to read and just be who they are, like
There are so many books
um
where like, because like book clubs obviously were like, I mean, I'm sure they're still popular now, but they like back in the day were like when Oprah had her book club, you know,
yes.
she had some of the worst books. I'm sorry. Like I would start reading this and be like, this is I can't like some because they were like they ran the gambit. Some of them were good, but like sometimes you'd pick up this literary book and I'm just putting it out there. I am not a
Yeah.
literary book reader. Does that make
No.
sense?
No.
I
I
want
mean
to
it does.
connect. Yeah, I want to connect with the characters, and not that you can't, but sometimes it's just writing for the sake of writing, and I'm just like, that's fine if that's what you enjoy, but it's not for me. And it was like I remember specifically being like, oh, there must be something wrong with me because everybody likes this book and I don't like this book, and am I
Right.
stupid because everybody likes this and I'm not getting it? Like, what's wrong with me? And
Right.
I'm over that now. Now I'm just like, yeah, I read cozy mysteries about people who sell yarn and have a cat. Okay? Are they, Nobel Prize books? No. They are not. They're a formula. Sometimes they're poorly written in the sense of like they break some of the rules that you're not really supposed to do when you're writing. In theory, but I don't care because I know what it is. It's an easy read for me that I can pop in my bag and just pull out, read whatever. And then other times I'm reading about history. Like I'm also reading a 1,000-page book right now called Dreadnought that's about basically from Queen Victoria to the First World War, like the history. It's a history book, which sounds incredibly dry for some people, I'm sure, but this is like I'm here for that. You know what I mean? Like I want to know how that happened. And there was a point in my life where I probably wouldn't tell people that because I'd be
Oh,
like,
Angie, that
yeah,
makes me sad.
well, it's not now. I mean, I'm talking years
Oh,
ago,
oh, oh. Well, yeah. Okay, so we have about a minute left, so we will pick up this topic in future episodes. But bottom line, my eulogy today is just do what you want and read what you want to read,
Yep,
and don't let anyone tell you that that's wrong.
yep,
I've read some things that were really good, and I've read some things that were not so good, and I liked all of them in between. So I think it's okay to do anything you want,
yeah,
um, as long as it's not hurting people, you
yeah.
know?
And if you want to
Um,
just like buy a certain kind of genre of book and only read that, don't let anyone tell you that that's wrong. Like you
yeah,
can literally be like, nope, I don't want to read that genre. Nope, I don't want to read that subject. Nope, you don't have to. Like,
yeah, yeah. Do what you want to do
do what you
when
want
it
to
comes
do.
to books.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're here on YouTube, obviously, and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you would like to find us anywhere, we're there. We also have an email address. Contact us. We're ready to hear you, and we're ready to hear how you like our show. So, anything else, Angie?
I think that's everything today. I'm going to get off here today and I'm going to look through my books, put them on my shelf, and then at some point I'll start reading. And I encourage everyone to grab a book and read it too. And use your libraries also. That's a whole nother rant for another day about how libraries are really disappearing, but
Yes,
we'll
that's
go book on that.
we'll talk about that. But yeah, all right. Happy International Women's Day, and
Oh, yes, you too.
happy book reading.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.